Hello, this is part 2 of my series on Sonic Mania. Right now we're gonna head on to our first entirely new zone, which is the Studiopolis zone. And something that I didn't mention, something new in Sonic Mania is that Sonic has this new move called the Drop Dash. In Sonic 3, your mid-air ability when you didn't have a shield would be like this insta-shield attack where it would just kind of act like a parry. But in here they replaced it with this, which is this instant super low charge spin dash that just propels you forward. It's also dependent on your speed. So, you know, if you're doing it from a standstill, it's going to be a little bit weaker than if you're running a little bit. Mostly it's a move for you to use when you're losing speed or when you're going from a standstill. Basically, you know, you press and hold A in midair. If you don't hold A all the way until Sonic touches the ground, then he doesn't do it. Here's Studiopolis. I really like this level. Not only it's just so pretty, but it's also just designed really well. There are these pathways over here with these bumpers. I like that Sonic Mania didn't... Recent Sonic games just kind of like got away from bumpers because people think they're annoying because, you know, you lose a lot of control when you're doing them, but if you're good enough at Sonic, you can do platforming on them pretty well. I mean, not super accurately, but you know, you can't just jump from bumper to bumper like I was doing. Get over here. Another cool thing about the Studiopolis zone is that you see like these blue highways here, how we took these. It's kind of like chemical plant, but in Studiopolis you can just also take them reverse, and it brings you to an alternate path. And I feel like that's just so clever. No Sonic level did this, where you can take these highway things in two different directions, and it's such a clever, such a Sonic-y idea for level design to do. So here are these crumbling things here, and if we stop for a second, we're able to get nab these items. Again, like, we can take either this one or take the outer path like this. Get the shield. And right here, there's another special stage. One of the criticisms that I had with the special stages in Sonic 3 and Knuckles is that they are always hidden in fake walls. And I feel like fake walls really make the pacing of the game really bad. But in here in Sonic Mania, the fake walls are either like very clearly denoted. There's a few cases where they're just really secret-y about it, but most of the cases they're either clearly noted or you don't have to go through a fake wall at all. It's just like, hey, this special stage is in a path that is hard to access. That, you know, you need to do good platforming, which is a lot more than you can say for Sonic 3 and Knuckles' special stage warps, which are always just hidden in fake walls. Some which are obviously signaled, others who are not. But it made the game be all about like bumping into every wall just to make sure that you didn't miss any Ooh. Oh no. Nope. Nope. Oh no. Oh gosh. I was screwing around too much with this special stage. It just turned the game into like, if you wanted to find all the special stage warps, you just had to like bump into every wall and just like stopping a bunch. And it's not here the case with Mania because they're either like clearly marked, like I could see the special stage ring before I got to here, and it's all like about figuring out where to go to access it, or you know, it's hidden in in a really tight platforming section. Here's some platforming that we can do with the bumpers. Oh, can't quite do it. Okay. I feel like I may be skipping a lot of the level. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm not showing in this level because I'm taking the fast path through it. But you know, there's the popcorn shop stuff. Down here you can kind of see that there's these platforming things like Labyrinth Zone. I think I'm already at the end of the level. I think I took the fastest way through the level, kind of accidentally. Let's see if I go through this lower path here, if there's more to show. I don't think so. But this level is very complex. There's a lot of stuff in here. Oh, see right there, we're at the end of the level. There's a lot of stuff in here. I barely shown you the whole level basically. So you should really play it for yourself. Anyway, this is the boss. So here's our first hard-boiled heavy boss. This is the heavy gunner, which is basically a policeman. And the trick here is that we need to avoid the red missiles and hit the blue ones, either by jumping on them or dashing onto them. This boss was tricky for me at first. I died a couple times. It's a simple boss, but it's just that, see how Sonic jumps right here? Like, I'm holding right all the way, but there's like some wind resistance kind of when he hits like the maximum point, the apex of his jump. And it's very weird, and it kind of takes a little bit of time to adjust yourself to it. These parts are automatic. Once you, like, when you switch lanes like that, those parts are automatic. But as you can see, there's some weird wind resistance, which makes jumping over these missiles a lot harder than it should be. As you can see, I'm using my double jump a lot just to make sure that I clear those. Because if you're doing a bad jump, even if you're like really close to the missile when you jump, you might not clear it. Anyway, this is the last hit. It's the first one, right? Yes, the first one. The missiles are shot like top to bottom. The top one, the topmost one, is the first missile that will appear. These missiles also don't have the same speed, so they can overlap over each other. So you gotta be on the lookout for that. Okay. If you make these signposts hit certain spots, they bounce up a power-up. Look at this effect. Oh, this effect is so cool. This animation here, these TVs. Oh, this music is also so good. This is a remix of Studiopolis Zone's theme that is based on TV show jingles and game show, like game show and TV news jingles, like game show music and TV news jingles, and you can pretty easily tell. While the previous stage kind of had like this movie studio theme to it, this is kind of like a TV studio theme, the second act. So it's very game showy, very live TV studio. Not a fan of these enemies right here. This stage kind of has this issue of like everything is way too cluttered. And they try to color code things a little bit. Like everything that you see that is, every surface that is yellow is something solid, and things that are blue are more details, and things that are inside these solid surfaces. But not quite sure if it works. Like right here, like these spotlights, you know, they don't look solid. They look so thin, they're not solid. And then these girders right here aren't solid at all. but they have like 90-degree angles, and they have like such a strong shading to them that they look like platforms, you know, since they're so flat and chunky. Flat as in like 90-degree angles, and chunky as in like it has volume to it. So they look very solid, but they're not. And then see right here, they're betraying their own color codedness, because here's a solid surface and it's also blue. You know, it's light blue, but it's still blue. So this stage kind of has these issues of like visibility that wouldn't be a big of an issue if this wasn't a fast-paced game, if this wasn't a Sonic game. Okay. I died twice to this special stage, wow. So let's take this one seriously. But yeah, I think that these special stages are really well designed. It really meshes well with how a Sonic game is kind of played, because you're taking laps across this racetrack, and the more you play this racetrack, the more you understand how to cut corners and how to do these jumps to cut time. So it kind of encapsulates the experience of playing Sonic, despite being in a different gameplay of like cutting corners and trying to go faster. Oh, I'm gonna catch it right here. Oh, just gotta cut this corner and then I'll get it. Nope. Oh, so close. Okay, got it. There we go. So it kind of encapsulates the experience of playing Sonic, of like playing these levels over and over and like getting better at them, getting faster at them. So that's why I feel like these special stages are so good, is that they don't feel like you're playing an entirely different game. The mindset through them is very similar to the mindset that you would have playing the regular game, despite being a different kind of gameplay. Pretty film real. I'm proud of it. And here's another special stage. Like, see right here, like the way to get to this special stage was to do that platforming that I did with those enemies. That is, I made it look easy, but it's not very easy to do. So that's what I like about how the developers of Sonic Mania hid the special stage warps here. So here's the last special stage. So the thing about this special stage is that it's very easy if you don't get to Mach 3. If you do get to Mach 3, then it's hell. And I'm gonna show it right here. I'm actually gonna try to get to Mach 3. That shortcut right there is just full rings, and this shortcut here is just full of blue spheres. So you don't want to take this path that I'm taking, because it would just get you to Mach 3 really quickly. And this special stage, as you can see, that you don't want to be there. You don't want to be Mach 3. It's so easy to fall off this stage when you're Mach 3, but this special stage is super easy if you don't, because there are a bunch of these sharp curves in it that make it super hard to play in Mach 3, but not too hard if you're not that slippery, if you're in Mach 2. Jeez, and I think this might bring us to the end of the level. There's a bingo machine right here that I want to take. Oh. Alright, there's this path over here. I should probably show the bingo machine though. If I take that, I won't be able to take the bingo machine. Let's see, what can I do to this? Take the bingo machine. Okay, here it is. This bumper. Probably get me to it. There we go. I never got a lot of rings out of this. I wonder if I can right now. Let's see. 7 times 1 plus 7 times 3. Okay, so that's 42. Cool. This wastes a lot of time, so you don't want to take this bingo thing if you are speedrunning this level, but it's cute. It's cute and fun. There is a thing right here. Yep. Disability and speed shoes. This boss, I'm not too much of a fan. You can kind of beat it really quickly. Every time it bounces, it bobs down like that, you can just jump and get and nail him. What I don't like about this boss is this thing right here, this wind thing. I think it's not clear at all that you're supposed to hang on to these metal bars right there that hold the television, because when it's not windy, you just jump through them and nothing happens. And there's no gimmick in the level itself that says that, oh, if it's windy... No, these metal bars don't really appear anywhere in the level itself, or the wind thing doesn't really appear in the level itself either at all. So I think your first time through, you're always just confused. I was also supposed to like hold down once I got blown by the wind so I could return to grab the metal thing. Here is Flying Battery Zone from Sonic & Knuckles. It is a fan favorite, but it's not a favorite of mine. I mean, it's okay, especially the first act of the original Flying Battery Zone. I'm not talking about the Mania version. It's an okay level, especially the first act. First act is fun, but and it is kind of like, it acts as this kind of like, okay. I kind of got this prematurely, but basically, let me show you a thing right here. You're supposed to get through here, and then this would get you down here. And then you would take the speed booster right here, which would then make this flame shield fall, and then you could get it. But since I already knew where it was, I could just like go here and then just like do that to grab it prematurely. Another thing where it's like the designers, the developers really understood Sonic level design and how Sonic's kind of supposed to work, of like having these realizations of like, oh, I can just do this instead. Oh, I can just, you know, cut a lot of time doing this. Which, you know, in a world where we have so many speedruns all over, I understand if it feels commonplace, if it feels like every game has that, but it's not quite true. Speedrunners, here's another shield interaction, the lightning shield. The lightning shield now gets magnetized to these magnet things. Because I feel like a very clever way. A cool thing about these shield interactions is that, hold on, spin dash over here. Whoa, that was weird. The cool thing about these shield interactions is that it makes the shields feel a lot more useful, especially for Tails and Knuckles, who can't use their mid-air ability that like Sonic can. So it makes the shields a lot more exciting to use. If we go over here. There we go. What was I saying? Right, Flying Battery Zone is kind of like this. I never know what to do there with the lightning shield. Flying Battery Zone is kind of like this like apology letter that in Sonic 2 they kind of wanted to it's basically kind of like Wing Fortress and Metropolis all at once, but it's not as hard or frustrating as they are. It's just like their coolest things about each of them. There's a secret path right here. We'll wait over here. Platforms up here. It's like, hey, you know, we understand that Metropolis was a bad, frustrating level. We're gonna make that, but like good, all the best parts that you know from it, and it is that. It works. It works. It's fun. At least the first act, and then the second act, I feel like there's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of, I mean, even in the first act, the mini boss of the first act in the original Flying Battery Zone, there's just so much waiting for stuff to happen. We might see that some of it right here, actually. Bits of Act 2 of Flying Battery Zone, I think. Where like there are these like bombs here, and you have to wait for them to dig that hole through the ship, which is like breaks the pace, and it's also very weird, very unintuitive. There are also these half pipes here that would glitch a lot in Sonic and Knuckles. And I never got these because Sonic 1 actually has, in Spring Yard Zone, there is a very similar gimmick here of like this half pipe with a steel ball just rotating through it. And it works so much better. It's just, it's done so much better, so much more creatively in Sonic 1. So I don't know why they made it worse for Sonic and Knuckles. So we are at the boss already, yes. So this boss I really like. It's this thing, and you wait for it to summon an enemy, and then you can kind of hop from the enemy to hit it. I mean, since I have the lightning shield, I can just use my double jump. But you know, as these crushers get closer and closer, it gets easier to hit him since the trash pile kind of goes upwards. And I feel like this is such a creative way to do a boss. You know, you have the Sonic boss design of like, hey, if you know the trick to this, if you know how to bounce off the enemies that it summons to hit it, you can beat it really fast. But if you don't, you know, you can still beat it. It's just gonna be, it's just gonna cut a little bit closer. Here's Act 2 of Flying Battery. So, like the other returning levels, the first act was kind of like the, well, this level has bits of Flying Battery Act 2 of Sonic and Knuckles, but it is largely it's largely kind of like its own thing a little bit. You know, it has a lot of novelties. Not exactly novelties, you see. The twist that this level has, that we see it right here, is that we can go outside the Flying Battery. And when you go outside, you may see that there are some things that seem a little bit familiar. This rain is not familiar. This rain is brand new for the game. It kind of pushes you backwards a little bit. You can see right here, like this giant wing right here. It's kind of familiar if you played Sonic 2, right? So there are bits of this level that are from Wing Fortress Zone, which I don't think it's a good level. I think it's a really bad level, Wing Fortress Zone. But in here, ah, damn it, I lost my shield. But in here, they make it work. I never know how to get these. I have no idea how to get these. If someone knows how to get these, like, please let me know, because this is like a mystery to me that I never knew how to solve it. These bunch of power-ups there, and I have no idea how to get them. Oh, there's a one-up right here. Okay. So, while I hate Wing Fortress Zone, in here it kind of works. It's not a bad level. They do some very creative, again, you know, it's like a clever Mario Maker level. They do some clever things with the pieces of Wing Fortress Zone here. The enemies and the little gimmicks and stuff. And they mix it together with gimmicks from Flying Battery Zone in very interesting ways. Right here, if I take this path, there's just a water shield, which is, you know, kind of useless. And shields can also reflect any projectile, if you did not know that. You know, there are these platforming bits here with these cluckers. I like that this game this game has some tight platforming as well. It's not just like running all the time, where other Sonic games are it often feels like you're in a roller coaster ride where you're just like sitting tight and watching you go fast. But in here, there's quite a bunch of platforming. So there's this treasure room right here that's kind of like it's kind of like those bonus stages from Super Mario World, where you can just like nab items as you go over these layers. Which is a very cute, very cool little thing. And if we... Nope. I want to get up there. I don't think I can as Sonic. Oh, I can. Never mind. Oh! Oh, wow. I didn't even know that ring was there. Okay, so... Here's the last special stage. And now I'm gonna try not to get to Mach 3. And you will see how much easier this special stage is. I'm not against like having a special stage that works like this. You know, this kind of like this trick to it, that has this trick to it. But it kind of highlights my only issue with the special stages is that, you know, it gets a lot easier. And it's a lot less exciting to get the UFO at non-Mach 3 speed. You can see we're taking like this shortcut right here with the rings. And there are lots of little holes in this level, but it's kind of easy to avoid when you're on Mach 2. Like, see right there? So I got all the Chaos Emeralds. And I can turn Supersonic now. This should, again, the controller, weird. This should speed up the my playthrough a bit, you know. I took 40 minutes to clear 2 zones, but that's because I was doing so many special stages. We're probably gonna clear this game by twice the pace that we were doing previously. Over here. There's actually a thing I strongly dislike about this level, that it's on the faster path to this level, and I'm not taking the faster path for this level because I don't like those things. Basically, they have this gimmick from Wacky Workbench, because, you know, who doesn't love Wacky Workbench, right? Or these electric wire things that, if you have played Sonic CD and played Wacky Workbench, you know what I'm talking about. It's also in Sky Base Zone for the 8-bit Sonic 1, the one made by Enshin, the one made by Yuzo and Ayane Koshiro. Yes, that Yuzo Koshiro, the composer, the legendary Streets of Rage composer. He was the composer for the 8-bit version of Sonic 1. Anyway, and his sister Ayane Koshiro was the designer for it. So yeah, that gimmick is just not fun at all, and it's, you know, they try to make it more interesting here, but it's not. It's still, it feels bad. It's the sections that they designed for them were not great. There was another treasure room right there, but I couldn't get to it. Another 1-up. And I think we're at the boss. This boss I don't quite enjoy. I think it should be a little bit easier now that I have the flame shield. This boss right here is the spider, where we can hit the thing of it to stun it, and then we can use these poles to just launch ourselves to make the spider hit the spikes. But again, you know, Sonic boss design, if we are, damn it, if we are accurate with our speed and stuff, we can kinda, like right here, there's these spikes, we can throw it to the spikes without needing the boost from the pole. And this gimmick is just not fun. Like, they try to it's just so I lost a lot of lives because this boss was just so annoying. I didn't quite get it because the hit detection is just all sorts of weird. As you can see there, I launched it into the spikes, but it didn't hit the spikes. The hit detection is very weird. The invincibility frames also don't feel great. You know, when you're trying to hit the boss over and over, it doesn't let you do that. Here's our second new zone. But I'm not done with that boss. That boss sucks. I want to rant about it some more. That boss sucks. And I hate it. It was, you know, the first time through, I had no idea what I had to do because it was just so weird. So, what's the word that I'm looking for? When you can't figure out something by instinct, when you can't figure out something quickly, it's unintuitive. So there are these boxes here, these kind of broken boxes. Later in the level, there's a flame shield that allows you to just like burst through them. But there's this one right here where people have been like clueless. How do I get this box? You know, because you know there's no flame shield here. There's, you know, apparently the only shield here is this regular shield. But I figured out recently the way to do it is that you bounce here to get the water shield here, and then you do this. It took me a while to figure this out. I didn't know that that was a thing that you could do. Very well hidden. Speaking of very well hidden, right here there's another special stage. I shouldn't go for the special stage since, you know, I cleared them all, so I don't get the special stage. When you clear all the special stages, the Ultra Rings just give you 50 rings, which, you know, is basically a shortcut for you to transform into Supersonic. Oh, here's the thing that I complained about in my review. So I think this game kind of has some visibility and intuitive intuitiveness issues. See Tails right there? These are platforms. These don't make any sense. There's no room for Sonic to stand on here. Like, look at... There's no room for Sonic to stand on the edge of a dome like that. Sonic would have to be paper thin. Like, look at these pins pushing out. It would definitely push Sonic out of these platforms. A little nitpicky. I mean, this graphic looks great. I mean, these look amazing. But it doesn't make sense as platforms. I feel like especially the new levels, there are some issues like that where it's like things are kind of unintuitive, things kind of look pretty, but you know, like I said in Studiopolis Zone, you know, it was kind of intuitive, but it was, you know, the color codedness was kind of like a mess. And this stage kind of has this issue that I have with a lot of modern Pixar's, which Sonic Mania truthfully doesn't really, it's not a big sin for Mania, but look at this black ink. It doesn't look black at all, does it? It's kind of like this dark desaturated blue if you use an eyedropper to it. Sonic is getting annoyed with my ranting. Like these enemies right here, like look how much contrast there is in Sonic and Tails' sprites, and then look at these rabbit enemies and how much more muted, how much less contrast there are in their graphics. And it's an issue that Sonic Mania kind of has. I mean, in this stage in particular, I can kind of Um, I can kind of like excuse it because it's trying to go for a kind of pastel palette a little bit. But if you look at the entirely new graphics for Sonic Mania, a lot of the graphics don't really go to pure black. Especially on enemies. I mean, if it was just background stuff, I understand. Because the heavy contrast here in Sonic and Tails, you want them to pop out. I think Sonic's new sprites, the new shading that Sonic has, is very clever because of that. Because, you know, Sonic would kind of get lost in levels with blue skies in the original Sonic games, because Sonic would basically have the same color as the sky. But by having this like intense hue and lightness contrast to Sonic's sprite, Sonic can kind of like stick out. His silhouette can kind of stick out from anywhere. You know, if there's a blue sky, the sky is blue. If the sky is cyan, you know, if it shares one of the colors that Sonic has on his sprite, Sonic would still be very visible against any flat color, even if the flat color is one of Sonic's colors. But anyway, there's this issue with a lot of modern pixel art, and not even a lot of modern pixel art, a lot of pixel art that is not done by complete professionals in general, that they kind of get afraid of using heavier contrast and darker tones, especially when you have a lot of colors to work with. This isn't so much an issue on the Mega Drive because the Mega Drive has so few colors to work with. The graphic designers kind of had to use black to make graphics really stick out. But on the Super Nintendo, for instance, where you had a lot of colors, graphic designers just kind of got lazy, and you can see that a lot of Super Famicom and Super Nintendo games have like this very pastel shading to them because they were just afraid of using heavy contrast. Here's another boss. This boss again is a boss that you have to wait a lot. If you have the fire shield, I think you can beat it fairly quickly. But this is one of these bosses that you just wait for it to break these boxes, and then you attack it. You bait for it to hit one of these boxes, then attack it. Very reminiscent of a few Sonic and Knuckles, Free Knuckles bosses, which isn't necessarily a compliment. So yeah, I was talking about pastel graphics, you know. So you know, when restrictions started to lift, a lot of graphic designers got lazy and didn't, and you know, try to stay away from pure black because pure black feels so tyrannical a little bit, you know. But it can really bring out a lot of volume to a piece without using a lot of colors. And that's why a lot of graphic designers on the Mega Drive had to use it. Here's a second act. It's something that I even have some issue with my pixel art is, not my pixel art, my digital art in general is just the contrast. You have to train yourself to use contrast and to have interesting and good values on your pieces. So here is Press Garden Act 2. I kind of feel like this level is kind of one of these indicators to me that Sonic Mania was kind of rushed, because this level kind of has nothing to do with the theme of the previous level. It feels like this and the previous act were two separate levels that kind of got joined together because they didn't have a lot of time to finish one another, or maybe they didn't have enough ideas to make these levels very interesting for, you know, two acts, since in this game, you know, two acts can be such radically different things. Look at these leaves. Look at how they have parallax to these leaves. I just noticed this now, but look how when I move, these leaves also kind of move like they're in a 3D environment, like way closer to the screen, like they're 3D or something. Wow, that's amazing. I never noticed this. That's amazing. Anyway, I wanted to talk about that so I can talk about this. This is very clever. I talked in my review that this was based off... I think I talked in my review how this was based off Sonic 3's Ice Cap Zone. But that's not true. I played Sonic 3D Blast recently, and that thing is actually based on a gimmick from Diamond Dust in Sonic 3D Blast, where it like freezes you, and then you kind of like retain momentum and get very slippery. Very interesting level gimmick. Very much a fan. And then there are these ice blocks that you can kind of break. Reminiscent of, again, Ice Cap Zone and Diamond Dust Zone from Sonic 3D Blast. So you know, we got frozen. You get frozen, but we got frozen by these things, and then you have to press A repeatedly to break out of it. But sometimes you want to stay frozen, because when you are frozen, you kind of like destroy a lot of things in your way, and you get very slippery, which can help you gain speed a lot. Yes. And in this level, there's another very interesting, very cool shoot interaction right here. There's a flame shield, and oh no, we did a bug. Oh no, a bug happened. There's this nasty bug in Sonic Mania where the music just stops in a few levels. Well, I'm gonna clear this level fast now because very unpleasant to have no music at all. Anyway, as you can see here with the flame shield just automatically just like breaks anything that is made of ice automatically. And again, just very interesting shoot interaction. They have designed this level very cleverly around that, and like having the two different states of like, I'm not frozen or I'm frozen. So again, here with these woodpeckers, like the same issue that I had before is that they are just like there's not a lot of contrast here. There's not a lot of black here, so they don't really stick out. They kind of blend too much with the level. Oh, I broke that ice spring because I'm with the fire shield. So this level in particular, there's a lot of things that it's not immediately clear, like, oh, this is not part of the background, because everything is just this very pastel palette. Anyway. Here's a boss. So this boss is another of the hard-boiled heavies, Heavy Ninja, I think. And what it does is that if it's standing like this and I try to attack it, it will unsheath his sword. And when it attacks with this sword, I get frozen. But as you can see, like right there, Tails got frozen, but I didn't because I have the fire shield. Like, and the thing that I have to do is that I have to attack him while he's somersaulting. The problem is the more that you hit him, the more his somersaults become a little bit deadlier because he can summon these shurikens. These starfish shurikens. So it becomes like more dangerous the more you attack him. A very interesting boss. I love the shield interaction with the boss. With Sonic 3 and Knuckles, with a lot of bosses, a shield would, specific shield when carried to a boss will give you a very strong advantage to it. In Sonic Mania, they kind of do that a little bit, but not as much as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But so there are some bosses where it's like, oh, you definitely want to have this shield to it. So that cutscene, Eggman was looking at Little Planet from Sonic CD and transported us there. So here is Stardust Speedway Past from Sonic CD. And they did a fantastic job with this. You know, Stardust Speedway Past is kind of a weird level. Because you have this background that's kind of like this Greek Parthenon kind of place. Gotta watch out for those light bugs. But the foreground would just be vines, you know. It would have no part of that Parthenon kind of like environment to it. But in here they kind of like managed to merge the two themes together, you know. There's a lot of Greek stuff here in the foreground as well, and I brought a lot of gimmicks from Marble Garden Zone of Sonic 3 here to go with the vine, like, foresty theme. Here's another bit of level design that I like. So I got shot from here, right? And then you go for this kind of automated section here. You got thrown all the way over here where this thing here, this machine, that if I destroy, it liberates plants. So I go all the way over here. But again, you know, like Sonic level design does, you can just like do this. If you jump right there at the right time, you kind of cut this entire automated section and hit that spring over there, the yellow spring, and then you didn't even need to read this vine that I did. But over here we have to read this vine. There's no way around this. And over here there is a speed up. Here are these spring cannons here from Stardust Speedway. Very Donkey Kong country. As soon as people got here to these cannons, they were like, "Oh, this is Donkey Kong country." But those are in Sonic CD. These spring cannons. Very 3D. Look at how these sprites scales. Oh, I love sprite scaling. I love like this 3D-esque sprite scaling. Let's see where to go. I want to go over there. Go over here. I like this background too. They also did a fantastic job with the background. If you see here on the top layer of this background, like there's some constellation imagery in the sky, which is new for this game, for this version of the level. Like right there, see, like there's a Sonic right there, like right there. The Sonic constellation. Very pretty. Very cutesy. Switch. Do we take this or do we go through the other path? One kind of criticism that I have with this game, which oh, here are these things. Like, you go over here to this tube right here that I'm jumping over to get to the end of the level, but you can also do this, and it's just faster. It just cuts. It's just a shortcut. But this is the end of the level. It will be a boss over there. I'll save what I was saying for the next level because it becomes super apparent there. Here's the mini boss, the light bug. In Sonic CD Metallic Madness, there was this kind of like sub-boss, which are these light bugs that you just destroy. And in here, they kind of like redesign them and make them a very interesting mini-boss where they merge together and form this giant one. Oh, damn it. Damn it, Tails. It's a very cute mini-boss. There's not a lot to it, but it's, you know... It's better to have something that is cutesy and can be done with really quickly than something that's kind of like annoying and trying to be too grandiose. Oh, I got a 1-up. Let's see. Where are the items hidden? I think there is one over here, I think. Right? Nope. So there's also like this castle here, that like this kind of like this gothic castle too, which is kind of like a mess here. There's The background is kind of freak, but the foreground is foresty. But the layer between the foreground and the background, there's this gothic castle. Stardust Speedway Pass is kind of a mess, but I feel like in Sonic Mania they managed to make it feel concise. So here's what everyone remembers what Stardust Speedway actually is like, which is Stardust Speedway Present. And this level, I'm not a big fan of because it kind of like illustrates one of the problems with the kind of design of Sonic of like multiple pathways is that there's an achievement for this level that's like beat it in 1 minute. And the only way to beat it in 1 minute is if you take the fastest path through, which isn't obvious to a first-time player. You kind of have to like play this level over and over again and figure out which paths are actually the fastest. Another special stage ring. Also, these rays of light here, these spotlights, they're very distracting. It's just too much. They're too bright. They're very distracting. Wish they had toned it down a little bit. So basically the fast way through this level is just kind of like you have to like see right there, I shot myself over there and that spring just like launches me back here. This level, there's constantly like these things where it's like, nope, this isn't the right path. And that's kind of one of the issues with Sonic level design if you go too wild on the alternate paths, is that you end up in a lot of these situations. Okay, we finished the level, this is the end. You end up in a lot of these situations where you don't know where the fastest path is supposed to be, and it doesn't really matter how well you're playing too much. I mean, it matters because, you know, Sonic's movement is just so, there's so much, it's so gradative. But I mean, to beat this level in under 1 minute, you can kind of like screw up a little bit if you're taking the fastest path. But if you're not, if you don't know what the fastest path, but you're playing it pretty well, you're not gonna be able to clear it in under 1 minute. Oh, here's a Metal Sonic hologram from Sonic CD. When we destroy it, then the animals, you know, they no longer get afraid. Oh! But here he is! It's the boy. It's the Metal Sonic boy. So again, just like in Sonic CD, we kind of have to outrace him, except not really, because he kind of like stays ahead of us and just tries to take us down. It's not really a race, it's just like trying to get to the next part of this level and surviving. While Metal Sonic has his little tantrum. We kind of have to avoid his attacks while going through this level. We got all the way over here. Whoop. Damn it. If we do, gets to this machine. And look at that! It's the Metal Sonic from the 8-bit Sonic games. What you have to do here is that you have to bounce him around like a ball to hit Metal Sonic over there, which I feel like it's a very cute thing. It's a very cutesy way of doing a boss. My problem with it is that it's, once you know the trick, it's kind of too easy. All you have to do is just wait for it to spawn, and if it does a spin dash, you do a spin dash back. You don't even need to charge it much. And if it doesn't do a spin dash, you just destroy it, because it's gonna waste too much time. So I like bouncing him with my jumps, but you don't really get to do that if you know the trick to it. A lot of people were confused with that boss. They didn't know what to do, but basically all you had to do was that, just like spin dash once, and he will always bounce back into Metal Sonic if you do that. And there's an enemy in Stardust Speedway where if you kind of bounce it back once it turns into a ball. So people who have been confused about what to do there, I think they had to pay a little bit closer attention to the level. Still, Still, it's probable that you didn't face that kind of enemy when you played Stardust Speedway on your first time, so it's possible that that happened. It's not like there's a... Okay, hold on. I need to talk about this part. This part is the part that actually confused me about this fight when I first played it. I feel like this is very shoddy design, and it really highlighted to me how Sonic games in the past kind of had this ethos to them that it's like, if you see a boss, you can hit it, right? You know, from the very first boss of Sonic 1, once the boss is like appears, once Eggman appears on his machine, you can start hitting him before he even gets his Wrecking Ball out. So I feel like the Sonic games have always had this clear language of like, when is it okay to hit a boss, when it's not. So Metal Sonic, in Sonic CD, you know, Metal Sonic is there, he just like wags his finger to the screen, and you know, you can't do anything there, you can't hit him. So, and that stays consistent for the rest of the fight. Like, you instantly understand, oh, okay, I can't really hit Metal Sonic in the whole fight. What I have to do is race. So this boss, for nostalgia reasons, you know, Metal Sonic stays there, does his finger waggle, because, you know, he did that in Sonic CD, so it's cute. And so you get into this mindset, oh, I can't hit Metal Sonic. So this is gonna be a race, basically, or a survival thing. And he does that, and as you can see here, I can't hit him. But then suddenly, as soon as we get past those 3 rings right there that we got past, now we can suddenly hit him. There's no indication of like, there's no state change. There's nothing that indicates like, okay, Metal Sonic is okay to hit now. So basically how I fought this boss was to basically do this. Basically I'll race to him and just keep running. And just keep running. And avoid his attacks. And keep running. Gotta keep running. Gotta keep running. As you can see here from the background, I'm kind of like running in circles. I think the background at least is okay at indicating that you're kind of running in circles a little bit, because there's no change of height. You know, you're not climbing upwards like you were before. So you kind of get the sense that like, oh, I'm running in circles. This is not what I'm supposed to do. And then suddenly, wait, I can hit Metal Sonic? What the hell? Also, it's just kind of awkward because you kind of have to manage your speed a little bit. You're not supposed to be fast. You're actually supposed to be quite slow here. Just not slow enough to hit that spike wall. And that's how you beat it, which I think it's a very weird way to... control chaos to get that. A very weird way to do a boss. I am not a big fan of it. Here is Hydrocity Zone from Sonic 3. I instantly knew this level was going to be back. Actually, let's stop for now. I did 3 levels. I should probably stop for now. And we'll resume this conversation next time. Hydrocity Zone.